You set goals, make plans, and try harder every single year. But somehow, you end up in the exact same place. What if the problem isn't your effort, but one tiny mental switch you've never been taught to flip? In this video, I'll share 6 psychology-backed principles for mastering the single mental lever that separates people who quietly transform their lives from people who stay stuck forever. I discovered this when I realized I had been running the same mental loops for years. Putting in the work, reading the books, waking up early, and still feeling like nothing was moving. The problem is, most people try to change their actions without ever changing the one thing that controls all of them. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that lever is, how to grab it, and how to use it to change literally everything. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. Everyone talks about mindset, but mindset is the symptom. The real lever, it's your self-concept, the deep subconscious story you carry about who you are, not who you want to be, who you believe you already are. Psychologist Dr. Nathaniel Branden spent decades studying self-concept and found that how you see yourself acts like a thermostat. It will always bring your results back to match your internal setting, no matter how hard you try to override it externally. This works because your brain treats your self-concept as a survival blueprint. Behaving outside that blueprint feels threatening, so it self-corrects every time. First, notice the stories you repeat about yourself, even casually. I'm bad with money. I'm always tired. I'm not that kind of person. Those aren't observations. They are programming. Second, stop trying to change habits and start trying to change identity. Don't say, I want to exercise. Say, I'm someone who moves their body. Third, write down 3 things that are true right now that support the new identity, no matter how small. Evidence builds belief. For instance, instead of, I'm trying to read more, try, I'm a curious person who learns every day. Same action, completely different internal anchor. And this first principle is actually the foundation for everything else I'm about to share. This next one is crucial because it explains why change either accelerates or collapses. Your brain is always running a confirmation loop. It looks for evidence that what you believe about yourself is true. This isn't weakness, it's efficiency. Your brain is conserving energy by filtering reality through existing beliefs. Research from the University of Waterloo found that self-affirmations only work when they feel believable. When they don't, the brain rejects them, sometimes making you feel worse. This works because your brain's reticular activating system, your mental search engine, only highlights information that matches your self-concept. You don't see opportunities that don't fit who you think you are. First, stack tiny wins deliberately. Choose actions today that are so small they can't fail, but that align with the new identity. Second, verbalize the evidence out loud. I showed up. That's what someone like me does. Third, resist the urge to dismiss small wins as not enough. Your brain doesn't grade wins by size. It grades them by frequency. Fourth, watch what you say after you succeed. Don't immediately move the goalposts. Sit in the win for 1 full minute. But here's where most people accidentally sabotage themselves. And that brings me to the next secret. Most people don't fail because they aim too low. They fail because they make the gap too visible, too soon. The identity gap is the painful distance between who you are now and who you want to become. Left unmanaged, it doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance fatigue. When the gap between your self-concept and your aspirational identity becomes so large, your brain chooses familiar pain over uncertain growth. Research from Stanford's psychology department confirms that motivation drops sharply when goals feel misaligned with current identity. Your brain reads a massive gap as a threat, not an invitation. First, shrink the frame. Instead of, I want to be a disciplined person, focus on, today, I'm someone who does one disciplined thing. Second, measure backwards, not forwards. Each night, ask, who was I yesterday, and how am I different today? Even 0.1% is real movement. Third, never mock your starting point. The version of you beginning today deserves respect. Shame doesn't build identity, it destroys it. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful. The invisible force that either locks your lever in place or sets it free. Now, you might be thinking, I get it. I need to change how I see myself. But here's what most people miss entirely. Your environment is silently casting votes for your identity every single minute. The books on your shelf, the people in your phone, the apps on your screen, they're all whispering, this is who you are. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, puts it perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your environment is your most powerful system. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy, so it delegates as many decisions as possible to your surroundings. When your environment says, this is normal, your identity believes it. First, do an environment audit. Walk through your physical space and ask, does this belong to the person I'm becoming or the person I'm leaving behind? Second, place identity anchors visibly. A book, a quote, a single object that represents the new you. Third, redesign your social environment intentionally. You don't need to leave your friends, but you do need to add voices that reflect who you're becoming. Podcasts count. Videos count. This video counts. You've already watched this far, which means you're already someone who invests in growth. Hold that thought, because the next principle will show you how to make that stick permanently. There's a scientific reason for this one, and once you hear it, you will never talk to yourself the same way again. Inside your head, there is a narrator running non-stop, and that narrator isn't neutral. Every word it uses is either building your self-concept or eroding it. Neuroscience research shows that self-talk activates the same neural pathways as external conversation. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between someone else insulting you and you insulting yourself. The stress response is nearly identical. Dr. Identical, Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan, found that using your own name in self-talk, instead of I, dramatically reduces emotional reactivity and improves decision-making. It creates just enough psychological distance to think clearly. First, audit your default phrases. What do you say when you make a mistake? When you're tired? When you fail? Write them down. They're your current programming. Second, use your name. Instead of I can't do this, try. Your name. What's the next small step here? Third, reframe. Don't oppress. Don't force positivity. Transform the statement, I'm terrible at this, becomes I'm still learning this. Small linguistic shift, massive neurological difference. But that's not all. Because even with the perfect self-concept, perfect environment, and powerful self-talk, there's one final thing that locks it all in for good. And here's the most underrated principle of personal transformation. And almost nobody talks about it. Public commitment changes your brain, not metaphorically, neurologically. The moment you declare an identity out loud to someone else, your brain treats it as a social contract, and your brain hates breaking social contracts. Psychologist Robert Cialdini identified commitment and consistency as one of the 6 fundamental laws of human influence. When you commit publicly, you create an internal pressure to become the person you've declared yourself to be. Research shows that people who write down goals and share them with a supportive person are 33% more likely to achieve them. The act of declaration shifts identity faster than any amount of private intention. First, declare the identity shift to one trusted person today. Not a goal, an identity. I'm becoming someone who. Second, create a low-stakes public record, a journal, a post, a voice memo you'll revisit. Make it real outside your head. Third, revisit your declaration weekly. Ask, did I act like this person this week? not to judge, to calibrate. Fourth, never let 2 days pass without one action that honors the commitment. Momentum is identity in motion. Thousands of people have used exactly these principles to quietly, permanently reshape who they are, and you now have everything you need to do the same. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1, your self-concept is the lever, not your habits, not your hustle. Number 2, your brain runs an identity confirmation loop. Feed it intentionally. Number 3, the identity gap trap will freeze you. Shrink the frame. Number 4, your environment casts silent votes for your identity. Redesign it. Number 5, your inner narrator is always on. Upgrade its language. Number 6, public commitment makes identity change neurologically real. Remember, transformation isn't about doing more. It's about becoming different. When the inside changes, the outside has no choice but to follow. You already have the lever. You've always had it. You just needed to know where to look. Don't wait until another year passes looking the same. Start with just one thing. Change how you introduce yourself today. I promise you, 90 days from now, you will barely recognize the way you think. If this hit home, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach someone who needs it. Subscribe for more psychology-backed self-improvement content like this every week. And drop a comment right now telling me, what identity are you starting to build today? I read every single one. And if you want to go even deeper, check out this video next, where I break down exactly how to rewire your daily habits around your new identity. It's the perfect next step.